Hi guys, Richard Butler here, and as promised, I am doing a review of WebinarKit. Now, what is WebinarKit? WebinarKit is a program that allows you to run automated webinars. What does that actually mean? That means that you will pre-record a webinar, you will then put it on this system, and it will appear as a live webinar. Now, what's the advantage of running a webinar? Well, you can see here that it says first ever auto webinar software and system lets you make easy 497, 997, 1997 sales even as a beginner. Okay, so let's get realistic. Can you make those type commissions? Well, possibly, but I think maybe it will take you some time to get that there. Of course, this is a headline to grab your attention so that you say, oh my God, I have to buy this. But let me tell you my experiences of webinars in general. A couple of weeks ago, I did a webinar. I had a very low attendance, but I believe I made over $160 from the attendance that were there. So my conversion rate was huge on that particular webinar. Why? Well, I was reviewing some software. I was showing people how things could actually work and how good this software was. And then I provided a link and the people actually bought from that link. So you see, it's really, really useful during the webinar because people get to know you, they get to see you, they get to trust you. And that is really important in this online world. So yes, the potential is there that you could make huge commissions. Of course, the thing that you have to do is you have to be able to drive traffic to these webinars, but that's also included in this package, and it's a review that I'll be doing later on about the actual software that you get to drive traffic. So there's a number of systems that are out there that I have seen. There's one that I have been using up to this point. There was another one that came out which was a horrible interface, but it did the same type of thing. But what this does is it allows you to pre-record a webinar and then actually set up all the registration pages and the reminder pages very, very easily. Like you see when you sign up for a go-to webinar, live webinar, that they keep emailing you an hour before the webinar, 15 minutes before the webinar, etc. But not only that, what you also get here is a number of preloaded funnels or preloaded webinars that the system includes. Now, I didn't really focus on those because what I wanted to focus on for this video is how you would actually upload your own webinar, but we're going to see the whole system in operation. So you see, it is as simple as this, that you go in, you create a new webinar, you get the affiliate link for that particular product, and then these are all the pages that are created for you. You have the registration link, you have the watch link, you have the replay link, and I'll talk about that in a second, and you have the actual control room, which is your back-end office. Now, it does also give you statistics on who's been watching and what's been happening. So the sales page, as normal, tells you all the huge things that this webinar will do or this software will do. It's all web-based. Now, let's talk about the important things and pricings on this. So if I just go down here, at the moment, at the time of recording, which is Sunday the 23rd, it's at $38.95, which is pretty good. Now, there are some upsells. So let's look at these. The OTO one is the WebinarKit Pro, which will give you access to additional registration pages, in-house video hosting, that's important, unlimited bandwidth, Times handout, one-click replay pages, polls, embeddable registration pages, and an upgrade to commercial rights and everything. Now, on the front end, and of course, always to tell you exactly what you're getting, on the front end, you are getting the 4 webinars that come included. I believe it's 4. And the sort of system that will run perfectly well. But with the upgrade, what you're getting, and which I think is important, is the in-house video hosting. So they will actually host your videos because you can use a URL, but I'll show you one of the challenges with using the URL. And on the front end, you don't get the one-click replay pages. Now that is useful because then you can send out to people and say, well, if you missed the webinar, here is the actual replay of it. So I do think that it is worth getting the upgrade. So it'd be 67 plus the 38. So you're talking about $110 to get everything that you need to run automated webinars. Now, let's just take a look at the dashboard here. If I go into new webinar, I can use a video URL. So what I could actually do is I could go to YouTube and I could take a URL like that, and I'll show you that. Or what I could use is a preloaded webinar that I've actually uploaded. So these are 2 Well, this is one that I've actually uploaded. I've uploaded this video here. So I select that, I click on next, I could click on save. I make the webinar active and I call this Richard and Scott, for example. I give it a title, Richard and Scott, learn about the description. And the webinar duration, I'll say it's 100 minutes. Now, I could add a presenter here just by clicking on add presenter. Now, this is one of the things I like, just-in-time scheduling is enabled. This means that every day, or I can say on such and such a date, at 12 o'clock, this webinar will run. And then I can say add a date, and I can say on this one, every single Tuesday, I'll run a webinar, Wednesday at 12 p.m. EST. So you can actually set up the dates like that very, very easily. Click on next. Registration page standard is what you would get on the front end. Okay. I could put in my branding here. So what I would do is I would browse, I would find an image. Let me just find an image here. Always when you're trying to find an image, you can't. Okay, so let me see. Actually, do you know what's easier to do? To go to kind, and then I will find a JPEG image there. Yep, that's me long, long time ago. So let me see. Okay, well, I'll just use this. Okay, so I choose that. Okay, so it has to be smaller than 1 meg, so I'd have to put that in. Okay, don't worry about that. I click on next. Email question box is enabled. Web offer is enabled. This would be when you have that upgrade of $67 that you can have the call to action. And what you can actually do is you can have the call to action at particular times. Okay, offer starts in X minute, offer ends in X minute. So what you would be doing in this case is you'd be recording your webinar and you would be saying, right now, guys, there's a link on the screen. Grab this offer before it expires, and you get out a special discount. And you would time that from your recording, and then you would put in the URL there. You could add a poll. You could have handouts. So this is where you could tell them to download a PDF. And again, it starts in X minutes and it ends in X minutes. Now, there's a further upgrade, which is that you can add a chat message. So you could put in John, hey guys, and then you could have that coming up in 1 minute. And what that means is that it simulates chat as if people are actually chatting on the webinar, which can be very useful. Now, this is one thing that at the moment I haven't seen how you can actually change the automatic confirmation emails, the automatic 1-day reminders, the automatic 30-minute reminder emails are enabled. You can't actually, not that I can see at the moment that you can actually change the text of these, but they seem to be okay. It's like GoToWebinar that it will say, I think the email comes from team@webinarkit.com telling you that you have registered for the webinar and that there is 1 day until the event and 30 minutes until the event. It's okay that they're branded, GoToWebinar, brand them, etc. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Now, I complete this, and what I should see is if I go down here, I have my Richard and Scott here. I would click here, and this is the registration page. Okay, so I would select the time that I want to see this webinar. I would put in the date and the time, etc. Okay, it says the next session actually starts in 12 minutes, which is correct. And then what I would do is I would then have a look at the actual watch room link. Now, one of the things that I found is that it takes a little bit of time for this to actually, I think, process if you upload your own webinar. So sometimes you have to just reload this because it might take 5 or 10 minutes for it to actually process. Now, and this is the webinar in action. So you see that I can enter my email address, Richard, richard@richard.com, and hi there, okay, and I send that, and that question will be sent to me. So this is another way of generating leads. Now you'll see here that I can't right click on this, it looks live, etc. So that's one way of actually doing the webinar. Now you could actually go here as well, and if I edit this one, and you could use a URL from YouTube. Now, the only kind of issue with that is that it will have YouTube branding. But again, you might say, well, that's not really an issue. I don't mind that there's YouTube branding on it, because if I go here now and I go to the watch room, what you're going to see is it comes up with the YouTube branding. Okay, so this is a sample video that was put in here. So it comes up with the YouTube branding. So that's the only challenge maybe. If you had Vimeo, you could get around that. But if you get the upgrade, the OTO, you can actually upload your own videos there onto their unlimited hosting. So that's good as well, because it means then that there won't be that branding and people won't be able to click away from your webinar. And that's why I'd suggest the OTO is a pretty good deal. Now, you see all of this, it's still going on. And then if I go back to dashboard, we should see as well that I have a replay link here that I would send to people, okay? And the replay link won't actually have any sort of area here to do chat, etc., because it is a replay. Now, it's a pretty good system. It's pretty simple to use. It's a little bit basic, but it does exactly what you need. And this could be a very good lead generation system, because I have done this with other systems, and suddenly I see that I actually have 15 leads from a webinar that an automated webinar that I created a year ago. So it's a very, very good system just to keep promoting. Now, one of the things that I will do if you buy through my link, I will actually do a live webinar showing you how to do a webinar, or how to record a webinar that you will then use, and I'll give you some tips and strategies on that. And that will probably take place next weekend, that I would actually do this live webinar. So for me, for $100 or just over $100, I do think this is a good platform. It's pretty solid. It works. I've tried it out. I've tried it out with uploading my own webinar, and I've tried it out with using the actual uploading, using a link video. Okay. Now, there's also a very good getting started guide here, which actually brings you through the whole system of creating the webinars. And here, for example, they give you the instructions of how to run the done for you webinars. Okay, so you can see everything here is actually set up for you, and they give you all the information. So it's pretty solid. Unlike many products, it actually seems to have been well tested. It works well. Emails come out. Let me just show you one of the. So for example, this is one of the emails here. The webinar you registered for is starting very soon. Hi there, the webinar you registered for is starting very soon. It gives you the webinar title, the description, the date and time, just because I hadn't entered that correctly. And then it gives you the watch room link there as well. Now, once you have done that, okay, this is the registration that comes up, and then the replay here is just there. So very, very good system. As I say, all the emails are generated. There's no grammatical errors in this, because I've seen systems that they do have grammatical errors. Yes, it would be nice if you could actually maybe brand this yourself, but it's a small thing. And as I say, if you're using GoToWebinar, if you're using Zoom or any of these systems, they are always branded with the actual company themselves, the company name. So for me, this gets a good thumbs up. I think it's worth it. Have a look through the video, have a look at the sales page. There is a link below that you can actually use to pick this up. And if you do pick this up via my link, I'll see, and then I will contact you, and or leave a comment below to say that you picked it up. And then what I'll do is I will contact you, and I will give you information about the webinar that I'll be running. All right, guys, have a great Sunday. Talk to you very soon. Bye.